Welcome to the SafeSimpleSound podcast, where we believe that true financial confidence doesn't come from chasing trends, but from building a constitution for your wealth. We are dedicated to creating both and solutions for the contradictions families face in their financial lives. Today, we are opening a new chapter in our educational journey. We are beginning a three-part series titled The Anatomy of Loss. Specifically, in today's episode, we are exploring a concept that keeps many families awake at night: the fear of bad luck. We're diving into the same topic we recently wrote about in our blog series because we've observed a pattern. Most families believe that avoiding financial disaster is simply a matter of crossing their fingers. Let's be honest for a moment. Does financial loss feel like a lightning strike to you? One moment, everything in your financial house seems fine. The sun is shining, the accounts are growing, and then, zap, a sudden market correction, a lawsuit, a car accident, or an unexpected health issue wipes out years of progress. In our practice at Safe Simple Sound, we see this anxiety frequently. It's a low-level hum in the background of many lives. It's the belief that you are at the mercy of the universe. Families often cope with this by buying a few insurance policies they don't fully understand and hoping for the best. But here is the foundational principle for today's episode. Hope is not a strategy. To build a truly safe foundation, the first S in our S3 framework, we must replace that vague fear of bad luck with a precise clinical understanding of how loss actually happens. This isn't about being pessimistic. It is about being powerful. Whether you are just starting to build your wealth or you are protecting a significant nest egg, this episode will give you the ability to distinguish between what you can't control and what you can. We are going to move from the anxiety of the unknown to the anatomy of the known. By the end of this episode, you will understand the critical difference between a peril and a hazard, and you'll have a systematic way to start engineering your own security. Let's begin by establishing the constitutional foundation. In the financial world, and frankly in the general media, you hear the word risk used constantly. It's thrown around as a catch-all term for anything scary. A falling stock market is a risk. Inflation is a risk. A lawsuit is a risk. But at Safe Simple Sound, we believe that to manage something, you must first define it simply. If everything is just risk, it feels overwhelming. It feels like a monster in the closet. To tame the monster, we need to turn on the lights and look at the anatomy of what creates financial loss. Financial loss isn't just about the numbers on your statement going down. From our perspective, financial loss is the unintended, unforeseen reduction in economic value. It is the result of a chain reaction. And to stop a chain reaction, you have to understand the two specific players involved. The first player is the peril. The second player is the hazard. Let's break these down, because confusing them is where most families get stuck in the either-or trap, thinking either they are lucky or they are doomed. First, let's look at the peril. The peril is the specific event that causes the loss. It is the thing that happens. A fire burning down a house, that is a peril. A collision totaling the family car, that is a peril. A sudden death stopping a paycheck, that is a peril. A market crash shrinking a 401k, that is a peril. Most people focus 100% of their emotional energy on the peril. They worry about the fire. They stress about the stock market crashing. They lose sleep over the possibility of an accident. But here's the challenge that we identify through our S3 framework. Focusing solely on the peril is incredibly frustrating. Why? Because in the vast majority of cases, you cannot control the peril. You cannot command the stock market to go up on Tuesday. You cannot control the weather systems that cause a storm. You cannot control the driver in the other lane. If your financial plan relies on stopping the peril, you are trying to control the uncontrollable. That is not a sound strategy. That leads to anxiety. Now let's introduce the second player, the hazard. Here is the constitutional breakthrough that shifts us from anxiety to authority. While you often cannot stop the peril, you can control the hazard. A hazard is a condition that increases the frequency or the severity of a loss. It is the environment in which the peril operates. Let's look at some simple analogies to make this clear. Scenario A, the peril is fire. You can't outlaw fire. The hazard is faulty wiring in the attic. The peril is a car crash. The hazard is worn out brake pads or bald tires. The peril is a market loss. The hazard is owning too much of a single company's stock. Do you see the difference? This is critical. You cannot legislate fire out of existence, but you can fix the wiring. You cannot stop traffic on the highway, but you can change your brake pads. This aligns with the constitutional principle of stewardship. We are stewards of the conditions, the hazards, even if we are not masters of the events, the perils. In our Safe, Simple, Sound practice, we focus heavily on physical hazards. These are the tangible conditions in your environment or your assets that are waiting to trigger a loss. A tree limb hanging over your roof is a physical hazard. A staircase without a handrail is a physical hazard. And in your financial life, leaving your passwords on a sticky note on your monitor, that is a physical hazard. Addressing these doesn't require a complex derivative strategy or a PhD in economics. It requires attention. It requires the steady, methodical pace of the tortoise Shelby, our mascot, walking through your life and tightening the bolts. When we reduce hazards, we create a powerful both-and dynamic. We accept that perils exist, we don't deny reality, and we systematically remove the conditions that make those perils catastrophic. To really understand how this distinction between peril and hazard changes a financial life, we need to see it in action. Let me share a hypothetical scenario that illustrates this constitutional principle. Please note, this story is created for educational purposes to demonstrate the Safe, Simple, Sound framework. While the Archer family we are about to discuss is fictional, the situation represents common patterns we observe when families attempt to secure their financial future. Imagine a couple, let's call them Tom and Sarah Archer. Tom and Sarah are in their early 50s. They are diligent savers and they care deeply about their family's security. Tom is particularly worried about the big crash. He reads the news constantly. He worries about a recession, the peril. Because he is so focused on this peril, he keeps a large amount of cash in a physical safe in his home, and he avoids the stock market almost entirely because he's afraid of that lightning strike. Sarah, on the other hand, worries about the security of their home. She worries about burglary, the peril. So she insists on an expensive high-tech alarm system. On the surface, they seem safety conscious. They are hyper-focused on perils. However, let's look at their situation through the lens of hazards, the conditions they can control but are ignoring. Through our hypothetical assessment of the Archers, here is what we find. 1. The physical hazard at home. While they have a high-tech alarm, the Archers haven't cleaned their gutters in 3 years. There is a massive buildup of dry leaves right next to dry wood shingles. They are worried about a burglar peril, but they have created a tinderbox hazard for a fire. The financial hazard. Tom worries about a market crash. But by keeping excessive cash in a safe, he has introduced the hazard of inflationary erosion. Furthermore, he has no record of where this cash is or the combination to the safe documented for Sarah. If something happens to Tom, the peril, the cash becomes inaccessible or lost. That lack of documentation is a hazard. 3. The digital hazard. Sarah manages the household bills online. To make it simple for herself, she uses the same password, Archer123, for every single account, including the bank and the email. She worries about hackers, the peril, but she has created a condition, the hazard, where one breach unlocks their entire life. Let's analyze this. While this story is fictional, it demonstrates how families often misdirect their energy. The Archers are exhausted from worrying about the economy and burglars, things they largely cannot control. Meanwhile, they are ignoring the dry leaves, the lack of documentation, and the weak passwords, conditions they could fix this weekend. From a Safe, Simple, Sound perspective, the Archers are not safe. They are merely worried. Now, let's reimagine the Archers applying the S3 framework. They decide to stop fighting the perils and start hunting the hazards. Action 1. They pay to have the gutters cleaned and install gutter guards. They have removed a physical condition that invites fire. Action 2. Tom moves the excess cash into a high-yield savings account or a diversified, conservative portfolio. He documents the account access in a in case of emergency binder. He has removed the hazard of inaccessibility. Action 3. Sarah installs a password manager and generates unique, complex codes for every account. She has removed the hazard of digital vulnerability. Notice what happened here. Did they eliminate the possibility of a fire? No. Did they eliminate the possibility of a market recession? No. But they dramatically reduced the frequency, the likelihood of the fire starting or the account being hacked, and the severity, the cost of the loss. This example shows patterns we observe when families shift from luck to anatomy. When the Archers fixed the gutters, they didn't just hope fire wouldn't happen. They engineered a home that is harder to burn. When Sarah changed her passwords, she didn't just hope hackers would ignore her. She built a wall that is harder to climb. This aligns with our constitutional principle of vision-first direction. The vision isn't, I hope nothing bad happens. The vision is, we have built a structure that can withstand the storm. Whether you're facing this exact situation or something similar, the lesson is the same. You are not helpless. You are a hazard hunter. There is a dynamic relationship here that we want to emphasize. When we reduce hazards, we don't just lower the chance of loss, we often lower the cost of loss. Think of a sprinkler system in a building. That is a hazard reduction tool. If a fire, the peril breaks out, the sprinkler system activates. The fire might still happen, but instead of the building burning to the ground, a total tragedy, it becomes a wet carpet and some smoke damage, a manageable inconvenience. This is the core of Safe, Simple, Sound thinking. We don't promise a life without perils. No advisor or strategy can truthfully promise that. We promise a framework where hazards are systematically identified and removed, so that when the perils come, your foundation stands firm. As we begin to wrap up this first part of our Anatomy of Loss series, let's summarize the constitutional insights we've covered today. We've moved away from the idea that financial safety is about good luck. We've established that relying on hope is not a sound strategy. We've defined financial loss as an unintended reduction in value, and we've broken down the chain reaction into two parts. One, the peril, the event you fear but cannot control, the lightning strike. Two, the hazard, the condition you create or allow, which you can control, the loose wiring. Our challenge to you this week is to adopt the mindset of the tortoise. Slow down. Look around your physical and financial environment. Your next step, become a hazard hunter. You don't need an insurance agent to start this process. You don't need a complex audit. You just need the right set of eyes. Look for the loose bolts. Is there a tree limb hanging over the garage? Are your passwords repeated across accounts? Is your beneficiary information on your retirement accounts outdated? Are you driving on bald tires while worrying about the stock market? To help you get started with this systematic review, our team has created a specific educational tool called the S3 Risk Anatomy Checklist, Physical Hazards. This is a simple, room-by-room, account-by-account guide designed to help you find those loose bolts in your physical and financial life before they cause a problem. It translates the concepts we discussed today into a checklist you can hold in your hand. This episode draws from our recent blog post, Beyond Bad Luck, and you can find that post along with the downloadable checklist at SafeSimpleSound.com. Look for the Anatomy of Loss series. If today's S3 insights resonate with your family's situation, we invite you to explore what constitutional financial planning could look like through our Safe, Simple, Sound practice. We love helping families move from anxiety to architecture. However, please know this. Whether you choose to engage with our practice or not, you are now equipped with a new constitutional capability. You now know the difference between a peril and a hazard. You have the knowledge to stop gambling on luck and start engineering your security. That value is yours to keep. Join us for the next episode in this series, where we will move from the physical world to the invisible world. We'll be exploring moral and morale hazards, how human behavior and the legal system can create risks we don't see coming. Until then, remember, life is complex, but your financial path can be safe, simple, and sound.